Hey everybody, how you doing? Triad Thunder here. It's been forever since I uploaded a video, so I am back. I am back here with something I wanted to do for a while, but for some reason it kind of escaped me till the last minute. But I wanted to go ahead and do a series of videos for kind of how to on Digistruct Peak, at least for a Commando. These are some of the strategies I found which really helped me during my runs, and using them seems like they give me the really good chance of getting through. So I wanted to go ahead and share some of those with you in the hopes that maybe some of these will help you as you try to go through the course. This video in particular, I'll be just going through the two first areas, which are Deprivation Depot and the Theater of Martyrdom. So I thought about just doing the whole thing in one video, but I mean that's kind of a lot to sit through. So I rather would do it just for each various section. And like I said, this one's just going to be the first two, and then it's just going to be, well, it kind of depends. Like there are some areas where it's kind of two different areas, but the game only counts them as one. So for some of the areas it'll be a little longer, but most of the areas will be kind of short. So like I said, this is the first two areas, so let's go ahead and get into it. You can get a lot of different spawns in this area, like skags, the slag skags, and surveyors. But I happened to stumble upon the robot, the spider tank wave, where you'll get one spider tank here immediately, and you'll have three more in the course, along with I think there's some skags mostly for this one. And of course, I forgot to mention I'm playing on OP8. As you can see there, I kind of throw the turret so it hits the wall and it goes right behind him. So those spider tanks love to just backpedal. They backpedal really fast too if you get close to them. So that kind of is like an anti-backpedal move that I did. And as you can see, the one tank will spawn there and the other one kind of scurries from that direction. And you'll be able to see him in a minute. It's pretty funny how fast they walk. I just find that funny. It's funny. But anyway, you'll see he's coming, and then the other one will be coming while he is. And it looks like we got some skags here. I'm sorry, spider ants is what I meant to say. The obligatory spider ant, the slag one, those always seem to show up no matter what. I decided just to flip on the old the baby maker of fire and try to get these guys out quickly. And as I mentioned a moment ago, you can the possibilities for this first section are kind of endless. Note that since I'm on OP8, I'll be fighting some of the more well, they're all going to be kind of tough, but depending on where you are on your OP playthroughs, you might see anything from spider ants to super badass surveyors to I think there's only one really special wave. I think it's OP. When you're on OP level 4 and you do this course, it's either 4 or 5. You'll see slag turrets during the run, and that's kind of nasty because they tend to pop up in a few places during the course, and that's really the only wave I don't really like too much. Is those turrets just do a ton of damage. They're easy to second wind off of, but at the same time, if you've just got a second wind and you go down again, that might make your timer go down faster. So, but really, that's the only bad thing about that wave, I guess. Of course, the waves will get more difficult as you go along on your OP8 levels, and since this is OP8 level solo, it's going to be the hardest available. But then again, there are some parts that you can make really easy, and I'm hoping to just kind of show you some of the things I normally try, and maybe that'll help you maybe develop your own strategies of ways to make it even better. So that's pretty much my goal for the video here. Right now I'm just basically mopping up the rest of the enemies here in this very first section. I whiffed with the first fastball, and these guys are annoying. I hate those guys. Then whenever you try to, after they get done with their little attacks, if you get close to them, they just run away like little cowards. And these are another annoying guys. These annoying sappers. You wait forever for those guys to get up. He's finally gone. And now I just have one tank left over right next to the exit door. And he has a few buddies, I think. It's probably more of those Emperor Spider Ants. Probably take those guys out with my fastballs. Yep, there's one. There are very few instances that a fastball can't solve. Alright, now it's just a tank. You might be able to see from my inventory that I carry a lot of grenades, but I also carry some backup weapons too. Like I mentioned, baby makers. There are a number of different ways you can actually approach these guys. Like for here, I just unload on fastballs on them, and or you could use baby maker, corrosive baby maker. You could use, I mean, you can use just about anything on them, and that's one reason I really love grenades and everything connected to grenades for Axton, because one, he has tremendous boosts to grenade skills, and another big reason why is there are some sections in Digistruct Peak where you can just use, say, just your turret and grenades to clear. Like one section that comes to mind is my Scorch section, which admittedly doesn't really turn out the way I'd hoped, but it's still okay. I mean, but in a very optimal run for a Scorch, I would just be able to throw my turret at the door, like that door that's closed, and then just launch stormfronts. And the only thing I would be using was the turret and stormfronts, and that can really save on your ammo. And especially if you're going to, what was it, the area starting from, say, Dukino's mom onto the, just after the assassins, that's a pretty long stretch to where you don't have ammo machines. So any ammo you save and any ammo you conserve is going to help out greatly. That's just my way of looking at it. Okay, looks like we've got to the second part of this area. We're coming up on, I believe it's called the Theater of Martyrdom. And I just throw some crossfire, I think they're crossfires, yeah, just to slag some things and hope to kill some turrets with my turret's nuke, actually. And it does pretty well. I just clean up the guys here, and there's a rat and another turret. Surprisingly, my turret just barely clung on by the time all this had ended. Sometimes it gets destroyed pretty quickly because of those annoying slag turrets, but this is just one of the times that it made it through. There could be some really nasty things in this area in particular sometimes, like super badass surveyors, or I think they're called rocket launchers. And I can't even think of what their name is. They're the robots that launch rockets. My brain's kind of blank, but having those in here is not really fun. And I actually run into one of those later on in the run. I don't really like those guys at all. Well, there was one time when I got to the area just past Saturn, which I think is Cannibal Canyon, and I met one of those rocket launchers, and he put me in fight for my life, and I almost didn't get out of there. So it just goes to show you that just one little mistake, and anywhere in this run, and your run could be kaput. So if there's one probably huge piece of advice I would give you if you're trying to start the OP levels or trying to do Digistruct, is just take your time. If you think about it, you only need one successful run to increase your level. So that means if you're just starting Digistruct Peak and you're going through the OP levels, like say you're level 72 and you're going for OP level 1, it's going to really benefit you if you just take your time. Don't be afraid of falling back. Don't be afraid of going back to previous areas if you need to, because that is just going to really help you and give you a breather if you need it. Because if you just charge in there and just start shooting at things, and it's really, really, really easy to make a mistake, and then that would just make your whole run obsolete. And imagine if you got to the very end and you died from some stupid thing. You're not really gonna want to do it again, I don't think, for another day. it's just little things like that that can save you your run. So my advice is just take your time. Don't worry when you see speedrunners that run it, and some people just like to run it for speed, but that's not necessarily the best thing for you. So take your time. Just don't worry about what time you finish it. There's really no timer. The only thing that matters is if you complete it, which is the main thing. So getting back to the battle here, you'll see I get the unfortunate, probably the worst Scorch wave, where he is accompanied by 4 surveyors. I wasn't really the battle against the Scorches themselves didn't really go as good as well as I planned, but I was pretty happy with the way I got the surveyors. Like there, I think I got that surveyor that was behind Scorch. That was a pretty lucky shot. So the surveyor part went pretty well in my opinion, but I'm going to show you real quick a way to de-aggro Scorches, which is kind of really kind of strange, but it can be pretty good if you need to use it. And you can see, do you see the green circle there, right? You can see like now I'm outside of the circle, the bounds of the circle, and if you just kind of stay out here in this area, after a couple seconds they'll despawn. The red dots will just, yeah, like that. See? It's weird. The red dots will disappear. They'll think you're gone for some reason. It's kind of really strange. I just kind of stumbled upon that one time and I was like, wow, did that really happen? Because at first I had thought the very first time I saw it, one of the Scorches was jumping at me. He was jumping at me when I was on that little cliff where I was at a couple seconds ago, and I thought he'd actually fallen off the cliff, but I think what happened was he kind of lost sight of me in midair, and then they just kind of meander back to where they spawned from. So right now, yeah, you'll see me launch the turret, and this is kind of where I make my initial assault, and I think this is part of the reason why it didn't really go so well as it would, say, in the area right where they spawn. I think the fact that they had that rock wall right where my turret was probably prevented some of the storm fronts from doing max damage, but like I said before, it wasn't too terrible. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, that you can also have some backup plans. Like for me, if the storm fronts might not do the job, I can always fall back on my baby makers. You'll see my shock baby maker being pulled out here in a minute. And I also have one of my shock bada booms, as well as you can also use a shock omen too. Those work pretty well, and really a lot of weapons are going to work well. Even explosive weapons like the Herald and all that. Some weapons might just take a little bit longer, but there are quite a few weapons that'll work. Well, let's see. I think I got them down to about maybe half. Half-life is pretty good. Even though they're only half-life, that's half-life that I probably wouldn't have taken off otherwise. So any damage is good damage in my opinion. Luckily, these guys don't regenerate health. That would have really been a bummer. Yeah, that baby maker just does a crap ton of damage. I love that thing. All right, one down, one to go. There he is. So that is Deprivation Depot and the Theater of Martyrdom complete. I'll show you my bars off. I'll show you my skill build. I'll do that for every video. I think this video here, since it's the first one, I show you all my gear, and of course I'll show you all my gear at the last video too. Coincidentally enough, this whole run went really well. I was very happy with it, and you'll be able to see some pretty cool parts other than the enemies in the actual run itself, which is kind of nice. So I'll look to see you in the next video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.